Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, welcome back. Well, it's really a good market to trade in, at least for the bulls, you'd have to say. So for now, the Nifty is well above that 11,650 mark, and stocks like Yes Bank, Tech Mahindra, Grasim and SBI are really powering through this morning. But let's talk about some of the NBFCs. SK Hota, the MD of Canfin Homes, joins us now. They had a bit of a struggle this time in the last quarter. The loan growth was the slowest in the last 8 quarters. Mr. Hota, good morning. You know, the last time we spoke with you, you'd said demand remains strong, but it's still a cause of worry because growth in Karnataka has not picked up. Has there been any change? I mean, have you seen any kind of recovery in the state of Karnataka? And what kind of demand scenario do you expect even in, you know, states outside of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, very good morning. As far as the growth elsewhere is concerned, it has returned back and almost to the pre-demand and pre-RERA regime. We are growing at almost 23-24% growths in loan book we are witnessing in those areas. The dispersals as well as the fresh approvals have grown by almost 15-16% in rest of the country. As far as Karnataka is concerned, it was a temporary lull because post-RERA, many of those small builders who used to create homes for the small people in that 20, 25, 30 lakhs range, they initially found little difficult to get into the approvals, get into the RERA regime to settle down. So things are looking up now. There is a realignment taking place as far as this construction segment is concerned. The builders are concerned. And whenever you implement something for a long-term good, any reform, naturally these initial hiccups are there. So we can take it like that. Now things have improved. Inquiries have improved across the counters. And the many new builders, they are coming up with fresh projects. Those small builders, they are coming back to the market. And from the new proposals in builder loan segment that we are getting, it is quite indicative that yes, things are looking up. And up ahead, it's with Bazzar to the Christmas, the festive seasons are coming. So certainly that will be the indicator.
Mr. Hota, you know, you already saw a crunching of your margins. They have come down now to 3.2, if I'm not mistaken, from 3.5, 3.6. Do you think there'll be further pressure because even the public sector banks are competing in the same retail space?
Yeah, we have been in a position to pass on partially. Quarter on quarter from Q4 to quarter 1, if you compare, yes, there are some 27 basis point increase in the cost of funds. Almost 14-15 basis point we could pass on. And as the time flows, I suppose it depends more on how much the banks are passing on. Because ultimately, end of the day, it will be the competition which really limits the capability of HFCs or NBFCs to pass on.
Or cost of funds could be more
in the market as far as your pricings are concerned.
Mr. Hota, your cost of funds could be higher than that of
naturally.
You know, one of the, say, an HDFC bank or something like that. So the pressure could be more on you.
Yeah, it has always been higher, madam. As far as the cost of funds of Canfin is concerned, it has always remained higher than the banks. But despite that, we have been doing these margins, the 3.5% margin, which has come down to something like 3.25%. We are pretty hopeful that if the cost of funds rises further, then we will have to pass on and we will be in a position to pass on.
Okay. Just one final question then. The last time we spoke with you, you had indicated that supply side issues are a big concern, although demand is strong. And because of that, the average ticket size of the housing loan had come down to around 17.5 lakhs or so. Are you seeing more pressure there?
No, the demand remains very much it's intact. The demand will be increasing as the festive season is ahead of us. And we are looking the increased level of inquiries across our counters. From the supply side is concerned, yes, supply side, as I told you, the small builders who used to create those inventories for the loans that we give, those people for some time they were out of the market. There are not many fresh launches. Now that things are looking up, they are coming back with new projects like where you will get a house worth something like 25, 30, 35 lakhs, because this is what really the first time home loan buyers, the average first time home loan buyer can afford something in that range only.
Mr. Hota.
So they are coming back to the market. And
yes, sir. Take your point. Mr. Hota, just a final question. Any update on the stake sale by Canara Bank?
No, nothing to our knowledge.
Okay.
There is nothing of that, so no discussion on stake sale. It's the history now behind us.
All right, Mr. Hota, thanks a lot for joining us today. That's Canpin Homes. By the way, need to focus on the market, and a lot of stocks seeing short covering. The stock of the moment now is Bharti Airtel. After a long time, we're talking about that stock. Just see the intraday chart on that stock, and you will see massive amount of short covering possible here. Bharti Airtel is the stock that we are talking about right now. Just pull out the intraday chart on that one, and that is up about 2% right now. So incremental short covering. We have Ashwani and Mitesh back with us. Ashwani, you bought the morning gap up. What's the call now? A trending day, or you reckon take profit home?
See, I have taken profit home because, Bank Nifty average range, if you see, is about 200, 250. You're at 350 now. So, you're pushing against the odds. Once you get this sort of large move in the first half an hour, there is no value in going on trading, because often you tend to give back a lot of gains. Also, if you see Nifty futures, it's not killing it in terms of premium. So a lot of it is short covering, because the banks and metals, they are the ones outperforming, and pharma and some of the other outperformers are kind of coming off. So I've taken it off. If it works out, good for people who are holding on. But a multi-day person would be more comfortable holding on, because you could get dips during the day. We're not exactly at, very corrected or very beaten up kind of levels. Having said that, still look for places where shorts could be in. So Yes Bank is a buy with a stop of 379, target of 392. JSPL is a buy with a stop of 204, target of 218. And Sun TV is a sell with a stop of 771, target of 750.
Okay, by the way, Dabur has made an attempt once again to move on the upside. So a new high for Dabur this morning, up about 3% odd. Now that stock is up 40% for the year. Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Gaba are also with us. Mitesh, quick comments on some of these consumption names, Dabur, VIP, doing pretty well. And anything else that you like?
In fact, Dabur, VIP, you can add a Marico to that list. I think all these stocks have been making that higher top, higher bottom formation, and now are at 52-week highs. I think the trend still looks solid enough for it to continue. So Dabur, I think, we can put in approximate targets close to about 540, 550, looking at the extension possibilities. And similarly on Marico, I'm looking at targets close to about 420 to about 425. That about my stock calls for the time being are buy on Hindalco. If it gets past 228 to 28.5, buy then with a stop at 224 for targets of 237. And PEL or Piramal Enterprises a buy with a stop at 29.05 for targets of 30.50.
Okay, Prakash Gaba is also with us in our studios. Prakash, good morning. Your thoughts on the market action and your stock calls?
Good morning, Anuj. Well, the trend is so far still intact up. What we have seen today is kind of a consolidation breakout. The logical technical targets on the Nifty was 10,660. I think it's closer to that now. But now if we get a dip, those would be buying opportunities here. The next technical target beyond 10,660 is 10,676. So I would wait for some kind of correction. If you get a correction, those would be buying opportunities here. 11,630, 620, a very strong support zone. Correction until this can be bought into.
Okay.
I like two stocks, both on the long side. I'll start with Axis Bank. That certainly is looking good. Axis Bank can see a climb to around 660 zones. Stop below 640 should be fine. And I also like National Aluminium, seen some good buying today. Looks like it's heading to levels closer to around 77 to 78 zones. Stop below 73 on National Aluminium.
Okay, those are some calls from Prakash. Ashwani, a word on Ashok Leyland. That's making a bit of a move, in fact, as we speak.
See, before that, I want to point out MOIL. It's corrected from 285 down to 175, and it seems that it has bottomed out today. So this is a good place to get into MOIL, 15 rupees stop. maybe 70 rupee upside. So that looks interesting. As far as Ashok Leyland is concerned, it's still hanging around 120, 130. But definitely people who like the stock should be getting in. Your stop is fairly close, but 200-day moving average, 134, 135, you need to be crossing that. Overall, I don't think autos is really moving on the upside. So the 2016-17 type of move seems to be over.
Okay, well, Havels is another stock that has once again resumed its uptrend in a big way. In fact, it's been doing that for a while. Havels is now at a new high and its market cap has almost touched 50,000 crores. So not small by any standard. But thanks, gentlemen, for joining us and taking us through your strategies. Looking like a very good day for the bulls, at least, inching higher as we speak. The largest mortgage lender, HDFC's Keki Mistry, has denied any interest in buying PNB Housing Finance. That's interesting. In an exclusive chat with CNBC-TV18's Nisha Podar, he also said that the valuation mismatch was the prime reason for the failure of the acquisition of Canfin Homes. Listen in.
We are not interested in PNB. We were not interested in PNB Housing. We've clarified that to the market. See, what we have to understand, this is nothing to do with PNB Housing, so please understand that when there is any acquisition that you are looking at, one has to look at a culture fit also.
Right.
I'm not in any way referring to PNB Housing. I'm just making a very generic statement. That lending, the business of lending is a certain set of values, a certain set of ethics, a certain set of culture that you create. And just going and acquiring something because something is available in the market is not the right strategy, because at the end of the day, the fit has to be right. So we keep our eyes and ears open. If an opportunity does come up and we find that the fit is right, we would be happy to look at it.
But the other bit is also what amount of cash goes in or how dilutive it can get. Is there also that constraint of a cash deal or an equity deal that is playing on your mind?
No, I mean, any deal that you do, it depends on the size of the deal. It depends on so many factors. Yes, there could be a deal where there is part cash. There could be a deal where there is part shares, or it could be all cash. It could be all shares. It depends on the deal. I don't think there's any particular view one way or the other. If it is accretive to the business, then some degree of cash followed by some degree of shares, which also makes sense, because at the end of the day, you're getting a lumpy growth in your balance sheet.
You have explored the opportunity in various sectors, various pockets of financial services, and you've seen many companies as well. How have been the valuation expectations? What is your thought process as a buyer in, say, housing finance to start with?
Well, we did see in Canfin Homes that we made a bid at a certain price, which we believed was the right price. And they found that the price that had been bid was lower. They wanted a higher price, and therefore we did not go further. So at the right price, and that price will vary from business to business, an acquisition makes sense, provided the culture fit is there, provided the value systems are in place, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so Keki Mistry reiterating what he would look for in terms of acquisitions. Well, the big story this morning has been the Reserve Bank of India's 12th February circular, which says that the deadline to resolve stressed loans over 2,000 crore ends today. So what does this mean to banks, to companies? Subodh Roy, Senior Director and Head Analytics at CRISIL Ratings, and Anjan Ghosh, the Executive Vice President and Chief Rating Officer at ICRA, join in. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, this is only one reason why we've invited you. The other reason is that we have been getting a spate of rating upgrades being announced on the exchange. So equally for both reasons, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Subodh, let me start with you first. What has been the rating downgrade upgrade ratio? Is the upgrade number of upgrades outstripping the number of downgrades at all?
Yeah, that's correct. If we look at a credit ratio, which is essentially defines number of upgrade versus downgrade, it has been more than 1 for 2018. Our credit ratio was 1.7 times compared to 1.2 times in fiscal 2017. And most of these upgrades has been driven by deleveraging of corporate India, where we have seen that debt levels are more or less stable because private capex is not picking up. On the other hand, because of large equity infusion that has happened in recent time, the net worth has gone up. So if you look at overall picture, is that corporate India's balance sheet is largely deleveraged. Apart from that, we've also seen a micro-stable environment, and commodity prices are high. So all this put together is ensuring that number of upgrades are outnumbering the number of downgrades.
Okay, that's very good to hear actually. Mr. Anjan Ghosh is also here sitting with us. Mr. Ghosh, good morning. Do you agree with that view? And can you throw more color on the kind of upgrades we're seeing in terms of sectors? I mean, is it coming from consumption sectors? Is it coming from, agri-related products? And where are you still seeing stress?
So we agree with what he just said, that our credit ratio is also higher than 1 for the last 1.5 years now. It's around 1.4, 1.5, and the upgrades are pretty much broad-based. It's not necessarily linked to consumption, even though that is one of the major beneficiaries, like auto ancillaries. We have also seen upgrades across diverse sectors like building materials, ceramic tiles, construction equipment, and chemicals, for instance. So it has been pretty broad-based. In terms of stress, well, stress continues, as everyone knows, in power sector. I mean, excluding renewables. Renewables, again, is an area which has been doing well, and we have seen quite a bit of...
There are no downgrades in renewables?
Not too many. And so thermal power is something which continues to be stressed. Telecom, of course. Sugar, after a revival, again, it's looking quite stressed because of the fall in sugar prices. A couple of areas which are a mixed bag. One of them is construction and roads. While there are positives in terms of order inflow, etc., but the deleveraging story has still not, reached its logical conclusion. Plus, the interest rate environment is something which affects construction companies because they're highly working capital intensive industries.
Okay.
Similarly, textiles, the picture is mixed. We have seen upgrades in certain sectors. Certain segments, downgrades. So these are some of the areas which are mixed. And telecom, of course, continues to be stressed.
Okay, so that's 5 stressed sectors you told us: power, sugar, construction, textiles, and telecom. Right. What about you, Subodh? Would you largely concur? Which are the sectors where deleveraging is excellent, and where is deleveraging falling behind?
So I will concur with Anjan, because clearly we are seeing stress in thermal sector, essentially power that, he has spoken about, real estate, some stress is there in capital goods also. If you look at deleveraging story, it is more on consumption sector, it is more on export oriented sector. And if you look at investment linked also, story is somewhat mixed bag, in terms of, if you look at ferrous and non-ferrous, these sectors are doing well. So I think largely I concur with what Anjan is saying.
Okay, real estate, is there any improvement at all, Subodh?
So what we are seeing in real estate sector is that we are seeing improvement on commercial real estate side. But if you look at residential real estate, very clearly states are there. We are seeing liquidity issue, demand issues are there. So we are not, we don't believe that the challenges in real estate sector will end anytime soon.
Okay, has the quality of debt improved at all, and are you seeing any signs of improvement in spaces like real estate?
Real estate, as Subodh said, commercial real estate segment is doing well. As far as residential real estate is concerned, actually our sample is not very representative, because our ratings is confined to the bigger and the larger players who actually have been a beneficiary of the consolidation in the industry and the impact of RERA, etc. The real stress segment in real estate, we do not have too much of rating coverage on that, because they typically have loans from NBFCs and a lot of mezz debt from PE firms and so on and so forth.
Okay, now finally to this big issue of the RBI circular, Subodh. What's your sense about the number of companies that may be saved up from the NCLT? Have you all done any internal math? And because of that, do you worry about the capital of any of the banks?
So as the thing stands today, if you ask me number of companies who may be referred to NCLT, to be very frank, we do not have full visibility there. But if you look at the situation overall on banking sector, essentially, if the referral happens, of what we are hearing from unconfirmed, so there could be 60, 70 loans which can be referred, and total loan amount will be around 3 lakh crore. But these are sort of unconfirmed information we have. If you look at this, banking sector, essentially, PSU bank, our sense is most of the NPAs has already been recognized. So even if, some of these assets are referred to NCLT, we don't think there will be any elevation on NPA side. Same thing holds for provisioning, because if you look at, what happened post-notification from RBI, most of the bank, increased their provisioning levels, their NPA recognition levels. So what we think, because of this event, provisioning should not materially increase. And therefore, in terms of capitalization needs, etc., I don't think there will be a very sharp jump in capitalization need because of this event.
Okay, you all are not changing your rating on any public sector banks because of this?
Not because of this, but because of other reasons, there can be some impact. For example, if gradually your NPA position is worsening, you have to provide more capital, you have to provide more provisions. Yes, those reasons can lead to change in credit quality for some of the PSU banks, but this event per se may not have a material impact.
What about on aviation? Do you guys rate companies like Jet Airways? I mean, things have been going downhill there.
Yeah, I will not be able to comment on specific companies, but yeah, aviation is something which is, I forgot to add, is amongst the stress sectors. I mean, despite a very strong traffic growth in terms of financials, numbers, debt coverage indicators, things definitely look stressed in that sector as well.
Has it gotten worse than what it was, say, about 6-8 months ago?
Yeah, it has got worse in the last few quarters.
Okay. And finally, I wanted to ask about NBFCs. There is a rise in cost of money, and a lot of people have, some of them have shown extraordinary growth in loans in 2017. Is there incipient stress?
We don't think so. I mean, whatever we have been looking at least our portfolio has been performing well.
None of the debentures are worrisome?
Not really. Not
okay. Really. So both your take on NBFCs, they had a rah year in 2017. Now money is more expensive.
True. So there could be some yield compression as far as NBFCs are concerned. But as far as overall credit quality is concerned, I think it will remain fairly stable, because we don't think there will be any asset quality pressure, etc. So yes, yield compression is possible, but by and large, credit quality will remain stable.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, Subodh and Anjan, in this conversation. I think it's a very important takeaway. We've been discussing how earnings growth is going to be about 20 or 25% CAGR in FY19 and FY20. That's for the earnings side. On the debt side as well, there is a significant improvement according to these two gentlemen. Number of upgrades more than the number of downgrades. By what 1.7 is the number that Subodh said, and I think 1.5 is what Anjan was telling us.
Okay, well, let's get back to the markets now, because things have definitely picked up a lot of pace. The Bank Nifty is now up almost 1.5%. Ashwini, what would you do now? I mean, almost 400 points, 350 points up on the Bank Nifty right now. Ashwini, is my voice reaching you? I don't think he can hear me. All right, we'll try and touch base with him yet again. But for now, a couple of these stocks actually looking pretty good. Ashok Leyland is rising up almost about 1.5%. In fact, getting close to new highs. And you also have names like MOIL. Remember, Ashwini was mentioning that 10% higher now on MOIL. Looking pretty good there. We'll take a short break on that note, but the latest commodity trades lined up next with Manisha Gupta. Do stay tuned in. Hi, welcome back. We were trying to touch base with Ashwini Gujral before the break to get a sense of which way the markets are headed. Ashwini's back with us. Looking very good now. Ashwini, 350 points up on the Bank Nifty. What would you do now for the rest of the day?
I think relax, because the big money is made often in the first half an hour, 45 minutes in a breakout market. Now, rest of the day is out. If you are a multi-day trader who can take 50, 100 points on the Bank Nifty, or maybe some decline on the Nifty, only then you should buy, because otherwise, intraday, you may be buying at the top. So that risk remains. But otherwise, I think the way we have broken out, this market will show you follow through, and tomorrow, day after, you could have even more follow through. So only multi-day traders should buy in. Intraday traders should wait for some sort of decline to get into.
Okay, what a great way to approach a Monday, right? Come into work for just 2 hours and then go home for the rest of the day. Wish that happened every day, right? But what about individual stocks, Ashwini? Just wanted your thoughts on a few of them. Torrent Power has been gaining a lot of ground lately. In fact, it's up about 5% right now. Your thoughts there? And you were talking about banks earlier. Bandhan Bank is now above that 700 rupee mark. Any fresh calls there?
See, Torrent Power may be doing better than other power stocks, but overall, if you see, it's basically 210 to 275, 280 type of zone. Bandhan Bank, like I said, there aren't too many sellers here, so chances are that it could, get beyond the 750 zone, which is previous highs, and probably move on further. This one looks like finally the selling, etc., which happens on great listings is over, and now, probably institutions, etc., are diversifying their banking holdings, and it looks like, on every decline it sees buying.
Okay, thanks Ashwini for that. Well, for now, a lot of large caps hitting new highs. Axis Bank, Reliance Industries, Bajaj Finance, TCS, all at new highs this morning. So the trend for the equity markets is on the upside. But what about commodities? Manisha Gupta is here to give us a roundup of all the commodity action. Manisha, we've seen crude inch up as well. Not good for our markets, but what else are you picking up?
Well, even it has inched up not so much, but yes, gradually we have been moving on the higher side. This actually has been 2 weeks in straight that you have seen the crude oil prices gain up. We seem to be inching close to that $76 per barrel mark in the international markets, and the US crude also is gaining. You have seen some positives actually come in for the crude oil prices to begin with. The US rig count fell off by 9 this time around and has been the lowest in last couple of years. That has been supportive. It also has to do with the Iran sanctions that would start hitting by the month of November. So building up to that, you are not looking at too many shots being created in case of the crude. And also you have seen declines in the US inventory crude as well, and that has been supportive. The only one thing that the markets are worried about is the US-China trade war. Keeping that aside, everything seems quite bullish for the crude oil prices right now. So we are trading flat in the international markets, and Indian prices as well open on the same way. 4,800 is back in case of the Indian crude oil prices there. Well, the fact from the currency space is that you have seen the US dollar go off its highs. It's just about holding 95 in the global markets. Euro has gained 1% in last 2 trading sessions. You have Chinese yuan trading at a 1-month highs, and almost all the emerging market currencies are trading firm, and that clearly lending its support to the precious metal prices. Last week, we saw both of these commodities gain up, and we have seen this week as well start on a positive note. So almost 29,900 is how the Indian gold prices are trading on your screens. It has been modest gains in demand for the Indian physical buying, and that of course has been supportive in the international cues there. But it is the base metal prices which have continued to run up quite strong. We have been telling you on how the steel prices in Shanghai are holding around those 7-year highs, and we have seen almost everything in the base metal prices open on a higher note today. Take a look at the copper prices. We gained 3% in the previous week and 0.5% higher at this point as well. The Chinese yuan at 1-month highs definitely has been supportive. Markets also are looking at bargain buying on the lower side, and that's taken the prices higher. So whether it is Shanghai or LME, you have seen most of those metals continue to gain up. Nickel, zinc, marginally flat is how they are trading, but it really is bullish cues that we are getting in from the global markets, especially for this space as well. So buying cues is what we have from the brokerage house. We spoke to Anand Rathi today morning, and they have a buy across sectors. For gold, they advise buy with targets of 30,000 on the higher side. It's a buy continuing in case of the precious metals and the crude oil prices, where they're looking at 4,850 on the higher side. For metals, they have picked up copper for longs. 419 is what they're watching out today.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Manisha. Well, the stock that has been surging for the last many days and has hit a new high today is Reliance Industries. So 1,290 almost on that stock. RelGeo has now overtaken Vodafone as the second largest telco. So we'll try and talk about that on the other side of the break, and lots more market updates as well. Stay tuned.
Care Ratings, celebrating 25 years of analytical excellence.
घूमे नहीं तो क्या किया, तूने कहाँ का दिया, तूने कहाँ का दिया।
मिल्टन, कुछ नया सोचते हैं।
Our country has always been lifted by intelligence. Intelligence for a higher purpose. Introducing the all-new E-Class. Intelligent Drive, Burmeister surround sound, air body control, and the first luxury saloon to offer reclining rear seats. So you have the finest E-Class ever. Masterpiece of intelligence.
रेखा दी थोड़ी रेखा दी नहा रही है, पर मैं हूँ ना हल्दी हल्दी।
जिन दागों को आप नजरअंदाज करते हैं, दूसरों को सबसे पहले वही नजर आते हैं। इसलिए बॉर्जर इजी क्लीन पेंट, नो दाग, नो धब्बा, ओनली ब्यूटीफुल वॉल्स।
You want to fly through groceries? We help you take off. Contactless Visa card. Look, tap, go.
लो, शुरू हो गया इनका मॉर्निंग वॉक। रिटायर करना पड़ेगा। ऑनलाइन? अपना दिमाग मत चला, बम्पर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स चलते हैं। मेरी नादान दिल, Amazon पे ब्रांड वारंटी है और डिलीवरी शेड्यूल्ड, यानी जब तुम चाहो और डैमेज फ्री। पर बम्पर का मैनेजर तो फ्री जलजीरा पिलाता है यार। और इंस्टॉलेशन के लिए कितना रुलाता है? यहाँ 48 आवर्स में इंस्टॉलेशन की गारंटी है।
जब Amazon पे मिले होम अप्लायंसेस पे ब्रांड वारंटी, 48 आवर इंस्टॉलेशन, शेड्यूल्ड और डैमेज फ्री डिलीवरी, तब दिल भी खुश, दिमाग भी खुश।
All right, let's now cut across to State Bank of India Chairman Rajneesh Kumar speaking at the 14th Annual Motilal Oswal Conference.
Whatsoever. That position is not going to change today. All the NPA recognition, and this is the question again, very often people ask me whether we have seen the peak. And I can say with confidence, yes. As far as the recognition of the NPAs is concerned, 31st March 2018, the peak has been reached, and if you look at the results of the banks in the first quarter, irrespective of their P&L, but one trend is clearly visible that the NPLs are coming down, and going forward also they will continue to come down. About the impact on P&L, there is or maybe a gap with some of the lenders as far as their provision coverage ratio is concerned. For State Bank of India, in my earnings call last quarter as well as in the first quarter, I have very clearly indicated where are we in terms of our provision coverage ratio, and where categorically I have stated that our provision coverage ratio now is more or less aligned with the LGD, loss given default. So for State Bank of India, I have no doubt where are we in terms of our NPA position, our provision coverage ratio, and the direction in which we are moving. But more than that, about the banking industry as a whole, what is driving the change in the NPL position? One, of course, there is a turnaround in many sectors of the economy. Cement and steel being the most promising and prominent one. And that is where, even if we look at the June quarter, the recovery which came, it came from the steel sector. And cement sector, all of you know that around one case what is happening, but that shows the amount of interest in this sector. And this is being largely being driven by two major initiatives of the government. One is the government's own spend on the infrastructure, and second, government's push on the affordable housing sector, which is driving the revival of steel and cement sector, and of course steel sector's revival is also aided by the fact that 2 years ago government decided to impose safeguard duty against imports from China, and that was a turning point for the domestic steel industry, and today the industry is doing very well. Many other sectors like automobiles, LCV, auto components, renewable energy, roads, there are a lot of sectors where the oil and gas, where the demand is picking up, and this is leading to the better credit growth, and this is leading to the hope for resolution of NPAs, recovery of NPAs, and the down cycle as far as NPAs are concerned. If we look at the resolution remedies, then IBC framework, which was implemented about 2 years ago, again, it is a game-changing legislation and one of the most significant reforms for which this government would be known is introduction of IBC. Around IBC, there is again a lot of debate whether it is working satisfactorily or not working satisfactorily, whether it is giving the desired result or not giving the desired result.
Okay, that is Rajneesh Kumar. We will be in fact speaking to him later through the course of the show as well over the next few hours. But the most important point is that NPAs will continue to fall. So the trajectory for asset quality will improve over the next few quarters. As we wind down on Bazzar, we leave you with a quick snapshot of all the important voices that we had on the show today. A very good day for the bulls. So do stay tuned in. On the other side of the break, Chartbusters will take all the action forward. Thanks for watching.
There are about 14 cases where they are already referred to NCLT. You know, many of them, I think about 7 are already admitted.
So this year will probably go down as a year of consolidation, whatever happens.
There is a good chance of correction. Yes, correction will happen. But, I mean, you are seeing every 5-7 days, almost every week, 15 days, a month, you are seeing new high.
The demand remains very much, it's intact. The demand will be increasing as the festive season is ahead of us.
HDFC Credila saying we infused some capital into that business recently. We have HDFC Ergo, which is a foray into PNC insurance. At some point of time, over the next 3 to 5 years, we would certainly look at listing these companies.